How's it going, guys? Alex here from Go Grind Soccer. In today's video, I'm going to take you guys through my full mobility and stretching routine that I like to do on my active recovery days. So after a hard week of training and games and everything like that, your body is definitely going to need a little bit of a break, and you're definitely going to need to make sure you loosen up any tight muscles. So personally, what I like to do on these active recovery days is get the blood flowing a little bit, whether that's going out for a walk, going out for a light bike, or maybe just running a little bit, but doing something that gets blood flow into the muscles. After doing a little bit of that, I also like to do a little bit of foam rolling and myofascial release. I already did the foam rolling, but I'll make a video in the future to take you guys through a full follow-along foam rolling session. But right now, I'm going to show you guys what I like to do after the foam rolling, which is a little bit of mobility and stretching. Typically, I like to do this before I go to bed every single night, but I did want to show you guys what I do for a typical mobility routine and how I like to improve my flexibility and my mobility. But as with any recovery day or any training day, if your nutrition and your sleep and hydration aren't in order, then you're not going to see any benefits of recovery. You're constantly going to be tight, you're constantly going to be fatigued, and your muscles can't recover properly. Anyways, guys, this is going to be around a 15 to a 20 minute full stretching session. It's going to be a follow along, so you guys are going to follow along as I do this. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this session, and let's get right into it. So the first thing I like to do to start off my stretching is I like to go from the bottom up. Many other people do this, so right now what I'm going to do is I like to start with the bottom of my feet. I actually got this from Matt Sheldon from Become Elite. This is where I learned to stretch, but we're going to do this for a full minute, and then let me just start the timer real quick. Alright, sorry about that. So let's just start with a minute. I'll put a timer on screen so you guys can follow along, but we're just going to do this for a full minute, really making sure to stretch the bottom of our feet, which are heavily neglected, and it's a common area of injury for many athletes because they fail to neglect the strengthening aspect of their feet. They don't stretch it, and then they get plantar fasciitis or whatever it's called. But I've never personally dealt with it, and thankfully I haven't. But I know that this is a common area of injury, and I'd like to avoid it. So making sure to stretch my feet often and strengthening my feet by doing barefoot exercises, by training barefoot, by just doing my exercises barefoot, that all strengthens the feet and make sure to prevent those sort of injuries. 10 seconds left for this exercise, and then we're going to switch to the other foot stretching exercise. I don't know the names of any of these either, so. Alright, the next one, again, we're going to lean on our feet, except this time we're going to make sure to stretch those shins. So we're going to do this for a full minute. Really making sure to put all your weight on your feet. You don't really need to force it, obviously. Just sit on your heels, and this is going to give you a good stretch in your ankles and your shins, and your I think it's called the tibialis muscle or whatever it's called. It stretches that, which is another common weak area for soccer players that's often neglected. Obviously, you need to do those sort of strengthening exercises for it. If you guys know knees over toes guy, he does a lot of these tibialis strengthening exercises to the muscle along this area. And if you strengthen this muscle, you actually will see lots of benefits, such as decreasing injuries, more explosiveness, and just a whole decreased risk of injury in general. 10 more seconds for this exercise, and we're going to move in to the next stretch. Alright, the next stretch we're going to do is we're going to start moving up. So now that we did the feet and the shins and stuff, now we're going to move into the calves. So the calf exercise that I like to start with is just your typical single-legged, I think it's called bird dog. Yeah, single-legged bird dog. So we're just going to do that for 30 seconds. I'm going to start on my left side, but making sure to keep your back straight. Try to push your butt into the air, keeping your back straight, trying to straighten out that leg you're stretching. Try and pull your knee back and really feel that stretch on your calf. My sister's making something in the kitchen right now, so if that's any background noise. Oh god. Okay. Should be about done. Oh, whoops, I put 32 minutes. Whoops, my bad. Alright, next stretch is going to be the same exact thing except on the right side. So once again, making sure to straighten out your back and put your butt in the air and really trying to push that knee back, really stretching the calf. Alright, that's 30 seconds. Now the next exercise we're going to do for the calf is we're going to try and get into like a lunge position, alright? You're going to keep your back straight, and all you're going to do is you're going to lean forward and really stretch that back of that calf. You should be feeling it around this area, really leaning into it, you know, getting all that dorsiflexion in the ankle, really pushing past that ankle and stretching that calf. Keep your core tight and really just push forward, not too far to the point where it's in pain, but just enough for you to feel that stretch. You can also do this with a wall, but personally I like to do this. I feel like it gets it a bit deeper and really works on that ankle mobility. Alright, that's 30 seconds. Moving on to the next exercise, same thing, except on the left side. Again, stretching that ankle, really pushing past your calf and getting into that dorsiflexion, getting that ankle mobility. Alright, that's 30 seconds. Alright, next exercise, we're going to move up again the legs. Still going to target the calves, but it's now going to start moving up to the hamstrings a little bit. So all we're doing for this next stretch is reaching for our toes. I'm very flexible for this. I can get like all the way down. Obviously you might not be as flexible as me, but just do what you're able to do. I'm able to go very down and feel a stretch. So again, try and keep your back straight. Sometimes your back might curve a little bit like mine is, but as long as you're feeling that stretch, just make sure you're really leaning into it. Feeling a stretch around the back of your knees and your calves, so a little bit of your hamstring. Alright, that's 30 seconds. The next exercise is we're going to stretch the left hamstring. Now for me, many people like to do it like this, and this is completely fine. But for me, I don't feel a stretch like this. I'm really flexible. So something I like to do to get a deeper stretch is I like to put this leg back, right, into like a 90-degree angle, and then I like to lean forward and really stretch the hamstring here. Again, keeping my back straight, making sure to really stretch that hamstring muscle. Seconds and out. Alright, next stretch, same thing, except on the right side. So again, putting your leg back. For me, if you want to do it the other way, that's completely fine. But personally, this works better for me. I'm very flexible, so if you cannot do it like this, the way I'm doing it, then don't do it. Stick to what you typically do. This is just what I like to do, what works for me. Making sure to adjust so I can feel a stretch in areas of tightness. Next stretch, we did the hamstrings. Now we're going to continue with that. The next stretch we're going to do is going to target the calves again and a little bit of the hamstring. You're going to get on your back and you're going to put one knee up, other leg is on the floor. You're going to grab the back of your hamstring and then you're just going to extend that knee. So we're going to do that for 30 seconds. Just making sure to keep that ankle dorsiflexed and really reaching that heel to the ceiling, getting a good stretch into the back of that knee. Hey Gina, what's up? Hold it for as long as you like. I like to alternate a little bit, getting a little bit of a stretch every now and then. All right, next stretch, same thing on the other side. Alright, that's 30 seconds. Whew. Alright, so the next stretch is now we're going to move from the hamstrings up to the glutes. So the stretch I like to do for my glutes is the pigeon. So making sure to get that knee into like almost a 90-degree angle. Obviously, if you're not flexible enough, you might not be able to do that. But getting that knee into a 90-degree angle and starting to lean forward, really making sure to stretch that. So we're going to do that for 30 seconds. Making sure to breathe properly. Inhale, lengthen that muscle. Exhale, drop into that stretch deeper. Really getting that muscle stretched out. Alright, 30 seconds, switch, again, getting that knee to get 90 degrees, really stretching that glute muscle, getting into a good position, feeling comfortable, and now breathing slowly into the stretch. I can go really low if you're not able to do what I'm doing. Obviously, your knee might not be 90 degrees. You might be like this. You might be like this. It depends for everyone. But for me, I'm very flexible, so I'm able to get into very flexible positions. That sounded very wrong. All right, that's the pigeon on both sides. Now the next exercise is still going to be for the glutes. I don't know why Alexa keeps turning on, but the next exercise is going to be figure four. So we're going to start like this, right, on our backs, flat on our backs. Take one our leg, put it up on the other, so our shin is on our other knee. And now we're just going to lift our other leg. Our hand goes through the little hole, and then the other leg grabs, and we start to pull. Making sure to pull that tailbone down. If you pull your tailbone down, you're going to feel more of a stretch in your lower back and in your glute. So we're going to do this for 30 seconds on both sides. Again, if you're not able to get this close to your chest, you might not be able to do that, but go to where you can go. Obviously, I'm very flexible, so I can get into very advanced positions, but you may not be able to, so don't feel like you have to get into the position I'm in. Just do what you're able to do. And obviously, if you feel pain that's unnatural, stop, find another stretch, do something that works for you. What I'm doing here completely works for me. All right, switch sides, that's 30 seconds. Right, that should be about 30 seconds. Yep. Okay. Whew. All right, the next glute exercise, or the next glute stretch we're gonna do is the double pigeon. So you're gonna have one leg over the other, so you're kind of gonna get into like a crisscross. So right now, my left leg is over my right knee. So as you see, in a little bit of an unnatural position, but you might not be able to get into this position. Your feet might be up here or something else, but this is where my foot can go. Once you get into this like crisscross position, you're gonna lean forward as if you're doing a pigeon. You're gonna feel a stretch, a deep stretch in your glute. So right now my left foot is over my right knee, so I'm feeling a stretch in my left glute. Really stretching that out. Ooh. Again, you may not be able to get this low, but go where you're able to go. If you're not able to do that stretch, then find another glute stretch. There are a ton. I'm pretty sure there's one that could work for you and your level of flexibility. People always tell me that I'm like very flexible and how I was able to get this flexible. Honestly, I used to be very inflexible, but I just started stretching every single day for at least 10 minutes. It helps me recover, it helps me feel less tight, and honestly, I just like to get into that parasympathetic state before I go to bed, and stretching is a great way to do that. Lowers the heart rate, really make sure to kind of get your body into that calm state. So I like to do it before bed. It's just part of my nighttime routine that helps me sleep. If I don't stretch before bed, I usually don't have a good night's sleep. So, yeah. Okay, next exercise, that was 30 seconds. The next exercise, we're gonna move into our quads now. So now we're just gonna start with a simple right leg back. So for 30 seconds, just bring that right leg back, really pushing through that quad and hip flexor, stretching that out. Again, you might be up here, you might be down here. I recommend staying here. You don't really want to go all the way back here. I mean, you can if you want, but personally, I don't feel the need to. I just get a good stretch when I do this. All right, switch to the next leg. Left leg back for 30 seconds. Oh, yeah, that's tight. There was a point where my quads were so tight that I couldn't legit stretch them. Like, it would hurt to stretch them, so I think I went like a month without stretching my quads because of that pain. It was after like a sprint session. They weren't injured, like I could still play fine, but for some reason they just hurt to stretch, so I just had like a month where I did not stretch my hamstrings, my quads I mean. Alright, so the next exercise, you're gonna need like a couch or some sort of chair. I'm gonna use this thing. Just gonna make sure. Almost like a Bulgarian split squat. We're just gonna get into this position here and really making sure to push that knee to the couch, getting into that Bulgarian split squat position, stretching that quad, stretching that hip flexor, making sure to keep the core engaged. Right now my abs are engaged, they're tight, and I'm pushing with my glute, making sure to find a good stretch in that quad muscle, in that hip flexor muscle. Alright, that's 30 seconds. Next stretch, same thing. Other side. I'm gonna have to reset my camera after this because the 20 minutes are almost up, so I need to reset my camera, but for you guys, this will not be a problem. Making sure to keep that core engaged, pushing with your glute, feeling a stretch all through the hip flexor and the quad. Right, 30 seconds. Let's reset the camera and let's get going again. Alright guys, so just reset the camera, so now we're going to move on to the next stretch. Grab a pillow or something to put your knee on. What we're going to do for this stretch is we're going to put our knee on this pillow and get into a similar position as we did in the previous stretch, except this time we're going to lean forward a little bit, making sure, and we're going to grab our foot and kind of pull up. So we're really going to try to maintain stability here, really getting a stretch of the quads. So we're going to perform that for about 30 seconds. So let me just get the timer going again. Alright, 30 seconds. Again, making sure to keep your core engaged, keep your core tight in this, pushing through the glute, and really trying to like push with your foot into your hands. That way you can like feel a stretch in your quad. And this might be a little bit difficult for you to maintain stability in. Sometimes I find myself like falling over, but if you can just like find a good like position, then you'll be fine. 30 seconds for the left side. Now 30 seconds for the right side. As you see, I'm like falling over a little bit, but I just have to readjust. Should be 30 seconds. Yep, 30 seconds. Alright, next stretch. Again, very similar, except this time fully focusing on that hip flexor. So we're going to get into like a lunge and a split lunge position, and we're just going to lean forward, pushing into this hip flexor. Again, keeping your core engaged, pushing with the glute. And something I like to do is I like to get this hand up and like really like stretching it further by doing this. I like to like just like go in and out of that stretch. Lost my balance there. Alright, 30 seconds on the left side. Now we're going to do it on the right side. Alright, 30 seconds. Mind the armpit hair. Sorry about that. You just look away from the screen while you do the stretch. Really gotta shave that. I gotta shave that armpit hair. I've been told by my friends that I should shave it. I just never got around to it. God, that's disgusting. I'm sorry about that. Alright, that's 30 seconds. Next stretch, very similar, except this time we're doing it to the side, so it's just gonna be, we're gonna open this up and we're just gonna lean into that. Oh, I hate the stretch. You're just gonna push with this hand over here, push that, hold it for about 15 seconds. Making sure again, keep the core braced. After 15 seconds, come out of it, and then go right back into it. That just helps loosen up the groin a little bit. Oh, this stretch always like hurts me. Oh, not like in a bad way, but it's like, oh, my groins can get really tight sometimes. Whew. Alright, same thing on the other side. Again, getting into that position, leaning into it for 15 seconds, pushing out and coming out forward and to the side, like diagonal. Just really making sure to stretch that groin. Again, keeping your core engaged. After 15 seconds, come out of that and go right back in. Okay, that should be good. Alright, next stretch. Again, we're targeting the groins here. So it's going to be 90-90 switches. So we're just going to get our knees, both knees into a 90-degree angle. We're going to be facing one way, right? Keeping our torso facing the direction of one knee. And then we're just going to, for 30 seconds, just continuously switch the hips, making sure to keep those knees 90 degrees. Go slowly, making sure to open up those groins. Okay, for 30 seconds, after 30 seconds, we're going to do the same thing, except every single time we switch our hips, we're just going to lean forward and get into that little like lunge position, little pigeon position again. So for the first 30 seconds, we're going to just quickly open up our hips and just adjust here, get into that position right there, just stretching that glute. It's almost like we're doing the pigeon again, just for a little bit. After 30 seconds, come out of that. There's 5 seconds left. Whoops. Okay, after 30 seconds, come out of that. And again, open up those hips, switch, and now other side. Right, after 30 seconds, come out of that. And now we're going to move into another sort of hip stretch, hip mobility drill. So for this one, we're just going to start standing. You probably can't see my upper body right now. But we're going to start standing. We're going to breathe in. And then we're going to drop down deep and stretch our hamstrings. Hold that for 5 seconds. Making sure to really push. Not like push, but like really stretch out those hamstrings. After 5 seconds, we're just gonna open up, put opposite arm on opposite foot. So this is my right hand on my left leg. We're just gonna open up our T-spine, our thoracic spine. I can't even pronounce it. And then come back down, left hand over right foot. Again, opening up that spine. Coming back down. And then now we're just gonna, whoa, I almost tripped there. And now we're just going to push our feet out, making sure to have them pointed out. And we're just going to drop into a malasana squat, getting deep in there, and just holding that for a bit. Getting into the position, getting adjusted to it. After 5 seconds, we're just going to open up again, making sure to have this elbow pushing this knee so we can open up that right groin. And just opening up, holding that for 10 seconds. Come back down, other side, open up that left groin with your elbow and really reach for the sky. Have your chest try to open up to the sky for 10 seconds. Alright, again, now come back up into your bent over hamstring stretch. Again, stretch it out for 5 seconds. And then come back into that malasana squat once again. This time going straight into the opening of the groin. So open up your right groin for 10 seconds. Now your left groin. Come back to the middle, and then again, one more time. Going through that again one more time, stretching out your hamstrings. And then dropping into the malasana squat one more time. Open up your right side for 10 seconds. Left side. Perfect. And now come out of that and once again stretch those hamstrings for 5 more seconds. And then come back up, stand back up, let the blood get back into those legs. Okay, now you're going to stand at the edge of your mat or whatever you're at. And now once again get into that hamstring stretch. And then crawl forward into like an inchworm as if you're a caterpillar. And then all you're going to do right now is you're going to take your opposite foot, I'm sorry, not your opposite foot. You're going to take your leg and put your foot up to your hand. So as you see, my left foot is around my left hand. You can have your knee either lifted up or you can have it on the floor. I'm going to keep it resting because I'm getting a good stretch like this. So all you're going to do is you're going to breathe out in this position, breathe out, and then open up while inhaling. Exhale back into this position. We're going to do that 2 more times. Breathe in. Breathe out. 1 more time. Breathe in. Open up that spine. Get that chest to the sky. Breathe out. You should feel a good stretch in your hip right now, in your groin. After that, come out of that, back into a high plank, and now the other side, so my right foot on my right hand. We're just gonna breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Okay, once again, coming out of that high plank, and I'll crawl back into that hamstring stretch. Hold that for about 10 seconds. Oh, and then come back to the middle of your mat. Whew. That always opens up my hips really well, really gets those groins stretched out, and it's just a really, I honestly felt like that's what really helped me improve my hip mobility. So I love doing that. All right, now we're approaching the end of our stretching. A few more stretches left. For this next stretch, we're gonna really, again, target those hips, but this time we're really targeting that motion, that mobility of the hips, right? And that just makes us better athletes. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get into a wide stance, as you see here. Get into one side, so really lunge into one side, making sure to really like get into that, right? You wanna get close to the floor here. Stretch out one side of the groin. It's kind of like a lateral lunge. Hold that for about 5 seconds. And then switch. You're gonna wanna like switch over to the other side. Hold that for another 5 seconds. Switch again. You should really feel your groins opening up as you make that switch. Feel it in the hip flexors, feeling it in the groin. This is a great stretch. Do it at your own pace. If you feel like you need to hold a stretch longer, by all means, go ahead. No time for this one. I'm just doing it until I feel like my hips are good. If you feel like you need more time, then pause the video. If you feel like you need less time, skip ahead. Just do this for as long as you need. I'm gonna do it one more time. Okay. Okay, that's enough of that stretching, but we're still gonna target the hips. So the next stretch we're gonna do is we're gonna lie flat on our backs, and we're just gonna bring one knee up to our chest, pull it into our armpit, pull it into us, really getting that like stretch in the hip flexor. Playing around with it, playing around with the motion, the range of motion of that hip joint. This is a great exercise. It's not going to improve your speed or anything, but it's really going to help with that mobility. So if you're able to improve your mobility, you're going to get into different ranges of motion, which will allow you to perform better as an athlete. I lost complete track of time. I should be saying do this for 30 seconds, but I just completely forgot. Let's try it again. 30 seconds for this next one. So switch, this time it's your left leg. Usually when I stretch, I don't really keep track of time. I just go until I feel like I stretched it out, I loosened it up, but you know, some people like time. So I'm sorry if you were expecting like 100% timer or something like that, but that's not how I think you should stretch. I think you should stretch until you feel like you're good, not until a timer tells you you're good, you know? But yeah, just almost done here, making sure to pull that knee into the chest, playing around with the range of motion. Okay, that's 30 seconds. All right, the next stretch and the final stretch for the hips is gonna be bringing our both knees up, and we're just gonna hug ourselves, almost just hugging ourselves, catapult or something. I think that's what some people call the stretch. Just really like embracing yourself, tightening up the whole body. after this, we're going to move into some stretches for our lower back. Okay, this should be 30 seconds. Alright, the next exercise, or the next stretch, we're just going to once again bring this knee up, except this time we're just going to bring it across and over. We're going to take this hand and we're just going to open up our spine. Ooh. Yeah, we're just going to hold this for about 30 seconds. Let me just get it the timer. Okay. Making sure to keep this leg right here straight and having one side of your body, so you want to make sure this side is facing the knee that's pointing this way. Keep this knee 90 degrees and then just open up, have that other shoulder touch the floor, and have this hand right here really hold down the other knee so it's not coming up. Just really getting a stretch in that T-spine. Oh, this is great for rotation. If you're tight in your back, you're going to experience tons of pain. But if you're able to have a loose, immobile back, you will stay free of injury. Okay, so that was 30 seconds, and now we're just switching to the other side. Once again, bringing this knee up and across, facing one side, and then just, oh, if you can hear that, it feels good. This is a good way to crack your own spine. Oh, you heard that? Yep. Make sure to breathe into this. You want to make sure you're breathing through this. Okay, it's 30 seconds. And now the final stretch we're going to be doing, 30 seconds each side. We're just going to get into this almost like hamstring stretch position. But this time, instead of going like this and stretching our hamstring, we're going to reach over like this and really try and touch our toe with this hand as we kind of arch over. This is going to stretch the quadratus lumborum, which is the little muscle in your lower back that often gets injured for many athletes. But we're just going to stretch that for 30 seconds. I'm doing my left side right now. This used to be an area of injury for me, so this stretch right here was great for really getting rid of that tightness. If you want to strengthen your lower back and avoid injury, make sure you're doing your core workouts. You want to make sure that you're doing tons of stability, tons of lower back strengthening exercises like Supermans and back extensions and stuff. Also, just like really just focus on when you're doing your core exercises. Come out of that for 30 seconds. When you're doing your core exercises, for example, if you're doing leg lifts, keep your back pasted on the floor. You don't want it arching. You want to make sure your back is flat on the floor and engaging your abs. That's a common mistake many people do, which leads to lower back injury. Same thing for exercises like dead bugs and planks and stuff, making sure your back isn't arching. Just making sure to keep that back straight and pasted on the floor pretty much. Last 30 seconds here, and that will be the whole stretching mobility workouts. Alright, for some reason the camera cut off mid-stretch, but that was the last stretch anyway, so it was completely fine. But I hope you guys enjoyed this full stretching mobility session. I don't know how long it actually took. You guys might see the title being like 20, 40, whatever minutes, however long this took, but I hope you guys enjoyed the stretching session. I hope you guys liked it, and yeah, I mean, I'll make sure to upload a follow-along foam rolling video soon so you guys can do the foam rolling and then the mobility. But yeah, this is a great thing to do on your active recovery days, and even before bed sometimes if you're feeling really tight after a training day. I think this took around 30 minutes. Maybe it took a little bit longer because I was recording, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this stretching session, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Peace.